Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Esteemed guests, Professor Mrs. Astrid Widoyani, Mrs. Rector, our esteemed guest, uh, Professor Adolfo Paulini, our esteemed guest, Professor Patricia, our esteemed guest, Vice Rector 1, Mr. Budi Purnomo. Second, our esteemed guest, our Vice Rector 2, Mr. Rodrigo Agus, and last but not least, our esteemed guests, all the attendants that join us either in here or in a Zoom. First, I would like to welcome all of you in our agenda today. And as your master ceremony for today, my name is Julio Iqbal Jaya Arsetio, and allow me to read all the our agenda for today. First, we will have opening ceremony with national anthem of Indonesia and the British national anthem. And the second is prayer. Third, we will have an opening remark from our Dean of Faculty of Law and Dean of the Buckingham University, Mr. Professor Adolfo Paulini. And next, we will have our main event, and it will be International Conference of SME Goals International UK and Indonesia. Without further ado, let's go to first agenda of today, and it was national anthem of Indonesia and British. All of the attendants, please raise up.
Pemirsa, teko ini berapa?
Thank you. Attendance,
Jadi
please sit.
teko ini sangat unik, harganya murah.
And I would like to announce that we have a little bit change plan, and it will be for our remark will be from our rector. So please, for Mrs. Astrid Widoyani, time is yours.
Tidak ada suaranya ya. Nggak muncul suaranya, gimana ini ya?
Belum masuk suaranya. Sekarang sudah masuk suaranya, Pak? Ya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita sekalian. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to University of Surakarta, or we call it Universitas Surakarta. Difference with previous university, which is public university, here is private university. It might be smaller, but we have same spirit. Well, it is honor and a privilege to open this significant event, and I welcome once again to our honorable guests, Professor Adolfo Paulini and Professor Patricia Kovarubia. Welcome to Universitas Surakarta, or we call it in Javanese Sugeng Rawo. Sugeng Rawo in Javanese, yes. So in Indonesia we have 1,000 islands, not only speaking our national language, Indonesian language, but we also speak in our local language. So in Solo we have Javanese Solo language, which is important for us, the high culture nation, to understand this local language. We separate this local language into three, even more, for the elder, for our college, our friends, and to the younger. So it's very different. So Sugeng Rawo is for respected people. Yeah. Anyway. And then I welcome to all the participants, all the guests who attend this meeting. And today, University of Surakarta held the International Community Development on SME Goes International. We will discuss about the UK and Indonesian's perspective. So it will be very, very interesting topic to discuss, and thank you for the support from the Faculty of Law to hold this event, and we gather to explore the dynamic and crucial topics of international community development, focusing on the perspectives and experience of SMEs countries, which is from the UK side and from the Indonesian side. I hope our collaborations with the University of Buckingham symbolizes our shared commitment to fostering academic excellence, research, and international cooperations. This will undoubtedly open new avenues for knowledge exchange and innovation, benefiting our students, faculty, and the broader academic community. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to our distinguished speaker. First of all, on behalf of University of Surakarta, Dr. Arga Baskara will represent us to discuss more about the insight on navigating cultural adaptation and talent acquisitions for Indonesian SMEs in international market. And we will have also our other guests, Patricia. It's very important if we want to have broader markets to our SMEs, to global market, especially in UK. We will learn from Professor Patricia. And the second one, Professor Adolfo Paulini, we will provide an analysis of the economic opportunities and risk management for SMEs in the digital age. You have like more tips how to enhance the quality or the new approach of SMEs to the digital era. Yeah. I'm very confident that this knowledge and experiences today will inspire and equip us to support SMEs in their journey towards internationalization. This conference is a testament of our dedication to creating a meaningful dialogue and collaborations. So once again, thank you very much to our speakers, honorable guests, and all the participants for joining us today. Your presence and contributions are very valuable to the success of this event. And let us embrace this opportunity to learn, to share, and to build lasting partnerships. I wish you all a very productive and insightful conference. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the amazing remark, Mrs. Rector. And because we have very limited time today, so without further ado, I will invite our moderator of today's event, Mrs. Ernawati. Time is yours. But while Mrs. Ernawati is preparing, I will like to read his CV. He was the graduate of uh, international law in UEE and also take his master degree in Groningen University. For the rest of the uh, event, Mrs. Moderator, time is yours.
Thank you, Pak Julio, for the time given. Ibu Astrid, thank you for the opening remark. Our guest from the University of Buckingham, welcome again to University of Surakarta. And then also we would like to welcome all the participants. We have the law faculty students, also our lecturers, not only from the faculty of law, but we also gather from the different faculties from the University of Surakarta, because we would like, as what previously mentioned by our rector, that we are striving for more development in terms of development of the educations and of course the professional managements of our developing university, and we are focusing on the entrepreneurship, and therefore we are opening these occasions to all lecturers again to gather here discussing in this international community development, focusing on the small and medium enterprises. And I suppose earlier Prof. Ayu mentions that our source persons of today's event have a limited time. May I confirm until what time can you be attending this event? Yeah. Okay. Okay. 2:40 is the maximum, latest. Okay. Oke, jadi hari ini Bapak Ibu we will have time sampai 2:30, 2:30. So we're not going to spend much of on the ceremonial, but we're going to focusing on today's discussion. And I would like to invite Dr. Arga to join our spokesperson today. And Ibu Rektor, you can join us, or you can also. Yeah. Okay. Do you have other event? Stay here. Okay. Thank you. Okay, then we have three speakers today. The idea is to compare the Indonesians and also the UK perspective, focusing on the small, medium enterprises. The idea is not to start the business, but we are assuming everyone's here are familiar with the small and medium enterprises. And the challenge now with all this globalization era is how to develop, how to penetrate the international markets. And I believe this is something familiar in the UK perspective, but for us in Indonesia, because we are still in a different stages from one region to others, it kind of difficult for us, or I would say challenging. It's challenging. So we are trying to step by step overcome all these challenges, so then we can develop nationally. And then Dr. Arga here will focusing from the Indonesian's perspective. And then we believe our two professors from University of Buckingham could enlighten us from the economic and the legal perspective from the UK itself, or another comparative would be perfect. Without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Arga to open today's discussion. I would say 10 minutes, Pak Arga. Okay, perfect. Then Dr. Arga, floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Miss Erna. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for coming. First of all, I want to say Alhamdulillah, God give us everything. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Dr. Arga, and I'm also delighted and to have with me here and at the table with distinguished professor, Professor Adolfo. Welcome to Solo, Prof. And Professor Patricia. And a little bit of we are here and the context, but before we talk a little bit about this, what we want to focus on now is the status and the state in particular of micro and small business worldwide and in Indonesia. Next, Mas. 600 million jobs, 600 million jobs. That is what the World Bank estimate that will be needed in the next 15 years, just to sustain the current workforce that we will have. That is a huge number that we must address. We understand if we do not have a livelihood that could lead to instability. That's why we believe that the recognition of micro, small and medium enterprises will play such a key role going forward. Micro, small and medium enterprises contribute significantly to product innovation in the marketplace, such as jobs in the workforce. We celebrate their contribution because for us to go into fourth industrial age, where we're seeing a huge shift, there's a surging of Europe in various countries. How do we address that? The rising population, number of jobs, SMEs can fill the gap. Indonesian government did empower the entrepreneur. Government need to make sure that he or she understand the role. Government need to make sure that those who are in the informal economy are brought towards the formal economy, so they can contribute to the economic growth. We believe that this SMEs is need sustainable development goals. Indonesian government meant that 2030 is a key date for the United Nations and the world, and how we will reach those 17 goals from United Nations. We call it PBB here. Awareness the power of SMEs that's why we're here. As we say in Indonesia, our goal from government is zero poverty. It's a broad objective, but we think that the best way to achieve that is to have more and better SMEs. That's why Indonesian government did work in every sector to make easier for SMEs to develop their business. There's so much to do, especially regarding bureaucracy and regulation and taxes, which already prepare for SMEs, not only for big companies. That's because Indonesian government have approved the last couple of years of the SMEs law. We call it Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja and Omnibus Law, but also to drive new companies, which is micro, small, and medium enterprises. Rapid business growth will continue to be in the line with population growth. Therefore, it must have a proper legal function in upholding justice in business. Legal protection effort provided by the government based on Law Number 11, 2020. The legal protection provided to SMEs is in the form of assistance and legal protection from the government. SMEs, as the strongest pillar in the business sector, provide a large number contribution to national economic growth. Based on data from the Indonesian Ministry of SMEs, in 2018, more than 64.2 million people doing SMEs business in Indonesia. SMEs also accommodate a workforce of 170 million workers from the business world. Apart from that, this business unit also contributes to the Indonesian national economy with GDP amounting to 61%. Next, please. Okay. This is due to the emergence of the job creation law, we call it Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja, which provides many positive change and guarantees for SMEs. In the job creation law, public authorities believe that SMEs can continue to flourish and able to compete with other sectors. Indonesia has the Omnibus Law. In general, this regulation is included in the Omnibus Law. The Omnibus Law has proven to have strengthened Indonesian SMEs. One of the reasons for the Mr. President Joko Widodo government to have the Omnibus Law to encourage investment and realizing the ideals of the golden age of Indonesia in 2045, which is ranked in the top 5 economies in the world. This law has created completely to change the monetary design that can move all areas of the economy to support financial development, reaching up to 6%. So that through the creation of magnificent employment opportunities, businessman expansion that can build income and power, as well as employment, expansion of utilization and expansion of use will be followed by expansion of compensation to build individual purchasing power and commodity utilization. Of course, some of this aspect can be achieved through the implementation of SMEs as a core sector of the Indonesian economy. Next, please. Regulation regarding SMEs are strengthened by Government Regulation Number 7, 2021 concerning facilitation, protection, empowerment of micro, small, and medium enterprises. Based on the regulation, the government is obliged to provide facilities, service, and assist SMEs business legally without any fees, as well as subsidizing program implementation. Moreover, legal assistance for SMEs take the form of legal counseling and consultation dispute resolving process or mediation, as well as assistance outside the court. In addition, the government is increasing investment and creating jobs by developing SMEs, which is in the process improved. This effort is part of Law Number 11, and branding. This explains that they can register SMEs online or attach a commercial letter from an Indonesian resident identity card, so that business people can obtain a business identification number from a business permit via electronic, so that it is valid for all business activities. Apart from that, SMEs who apply for business permit can receive incentive in the form of that SMEs to create the job that we need, especially for young people, and for that, Indonesian government will make easier in which new companies could be created. There's also again bureaucracy and a little bit and so I think the entrepreneurship law that government just approved in our country was also helped in that way, sharing this experience with other countries like the region, Asia, and United Nations, so they are all on the same page. The challenging regarding was, as we mentioned it, automatization of jobs is going to be massive. Was that important? And I'm sure it's absolutely important to support SMEs and entrepreneurship in the past is more important than ever, because in the next 10 or 15 years it's going to be decided where we are going. Because technology is amazing, but if we manage in a bad way, it's going to be worse than we are now. More inequality, more poverty, especially more young unemployment. But the technology will change in a good way. we are able to solve this person and party problem, inshallah. So, thank you very much for being here. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So, the introductions and explanations, very technical and very concrete regarding the legal framework for the Indonesian SME. It might be a limited time we have, but then I hope it kind of give a glance of how we do in terms of legal framework towards our small and medium enterprises. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to further continue to the discussions to our next a source person. And then I would like to invite Professor Patricia Kovarupia. I'm sorry if I pronounce, thank you. And then it's just a quick, short intro. So the rest of our guests and also lecturers would be familiar with your profile. So give me a second. So Professor Patricia Kovarupia Abogado, she is a reader in law at the University of Buckingham, an IP consultant at the Latin American IPR SME Help Desk. So you're currently focusing on the international intellectual property rights regarding the small and medium enterprises, and that's amazing. That is something I believe is uncommon here, and I'm sure if you would share in these particular topics, then that would bring enlightenment insight for us. Then, without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Kovarupia to speak on the legal framework and compliance for SMEs expanding internationally from the UK perspective. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us today in such a short notice, but we are here. So thank you. My experience, not only in the academia side as a reader in intellectual property law, comes from my work with the European Commission. And in the European Commission, my job is to help small and medium enterprises to understand how to protect their assets when they go to the Latin American market. A disclaimer that I need to establish in here is that I am originally from Venezuela in South America, so I'm very much familiar with not only small enterprises, but micro enterprises. And my research focuses in South America, looking at traditional knowledge and geographical indication, especially for small communities and for family businesses, because at the end of the day, that's how a business starts in developing countries. So when I advise the companies in Europe that go to South America, I need them to make aware of the legal framework, which is what you are asking me. And it's difficult to establish or to say a legal framework if we just look at the law without looking at the practice. For example, I saw Professor Agan, in your slides, you talk about bureaucracy. Adding to that, in South America, we have huge corruption. And I don't know if you're familiar okay, with corruption, I hope not. But I am talking here about petty corruption. For example, if I go to the intellectual property office to register a trademark, then of course it's going to go in a pile. But if I invite the registrar for dinner, then I'm going to be at the top. So that's what I'm referring to, petty corruption. When I say that to the European market, there was once a company asked me, will I receive an invoice for that? And I said, no, it's illegal, but it's common practice. And it's something, again, that I need to make the businesses in Europe aware of when they come to South America. I have been here learning a lot, even though we have been here for just 5 years. This is my first time in Indonesia. And I have seen thank you. I have seen informal market actually on the streets. That's what I see, and have a person singing, or the fruits and all of that. And how can we enhance that instead of punishing? Small or micro enterprises, what is the figure about that? I think that the first thing we need to know is about awareness, which is what my colleague was talking about. To be aware of the tools that exist in a country. How can we help you to organize yourself? An excellent example that I noticed here in Indonesia is the coffee market. For example, the brand Gajo have over 1,000 families working in that industry. I was also made aware that the coffee in Malaysia has one of the biggest market because it's part of the Starbucks, which is an international, multinational company. So how they reached that status? Because they were just families, they were farmers. What are steps they did? And the first thing, awareness. The second is organization. How do we make people to be organized? Coming from South America, that is a big problem, because even though we may be aware of the tools that exist, the legal tools, it's about how we organize the people. Because sometimes among ourselves, we want to benefit more than the others, and that is the reality of a business. But if we together conglomerate and make ourselves stronger, that's the only way we can break those markets. Because we're talking about even internationally, how can we break the market? Well, how can you break an international market if you cannot even break the national one? So unification, societies, associations, I wouldn't say companies, but rather an association of people coming together, writing an understanding of how to sell a product is crucial. Here comes the next step, which is money. For organization, for writing paper, for submitting applications, for guidance, we need that money. I have seen examples in Colombia, Brazil, and Peru, in which non-governmental organizations and governmental organizations outside South America, specifically in Europe, they provide the expertise pro bono. So one of the biggest one is the Intellectual Property Office in Switzerland. So I'm giving you some tips in there where you can look at. And they provide guidance. They bring the people, the experts, to the country to study first the organization, what is needed. Because even though my expertise in intellectual property, I need to understand that perhaps that organization, that business, doesn't really need intellectual property. What it needs is other things. So we need to understand first what is needed for the people to organize themselves, to create that block, to break into the national market, and then go outside. I understand now the coffee industry is a big issue here. Something that I was not aware of was batik as well, and also woodwork, craft. And there is actually a geographical indication on that. How do we protect those? I did a presentation in a congress about 3 days ago when I gave the example of the movie, The Black Panther, very big movie, Hollywood movie. And it was incredible to see the market in Europe and in America that everybody wanted to dress like the traditional people in the movie, which was fictitious. They wanted to be part of Wakanda. And actually, the movie, they were designing the traditional clothes of Kente, which is from Ghana. So we see that exploitation of traditional knowledge of a people, of indigenous people, in Ghana, and there was no recognition whatsoever in the movie. There was not. So how can we avoid that? Batik. I am aware of Batik because I'm here and I know how proud you are of it. And I will put onto you a reflection. How would you feel that in the movie you see Batik and you feel fantastic, proud, but there is no way that people that watch the movie, the millions and millions of people that watch the movie, recognize that as to coming from Indonesia. Two examples. In Mexico, there was a famous clothing industry called Shein from China. They trade very cheap clothes. They did a design with flowers, but actually those flowers and the design of it come from an indigenous people community in Mexico. The president's wife saw that. She went to Twitter and said, "Oh, Shane, I didn't know you have indigenous people working with you from Mexico." And that was a snowball. People started in Twitter. Shame on you. Just blaming them. There was no action. There was no legal action. There is no registration, as I said, in intellectual property. But there was so much a strong bad advertisement that Shane decided to remove the design and apologize. The second example is trainers, the Nike industry in the United States. About 10 years ago, they did a special edition. And the special edition was using a textile that is from the people of Guatemala and Bolivia, indigenous people. They launched the product because it was a limited edition, very expensive one. And one person from Guatemala went to Facebook and put a picture of the launch of the Nikes, but also a picture of their textile, and said, "Do you have authorization from the people to use this? How will you distribute the benefits that you're going to get?" Again, Facebook, million and million of people started everywhere in the world. Nike decided to pull off the shoes. So while we are here supporting the legal part, I think that we also need to understand what is in practice and the power that we have as small communities, Indonesia, its people, to use our voice, to recognize what we have and not to allow others to represent the cultural heritage, the traditional knowledge that we do possess. So to conclude, my experience working with small and medium enterprises will be first, awareness. Second, find the tools. If there is no money, go to the United Nations. There are so many organizations in Europe that helps those micro and small enterprises. If you have a good ethos, if you have a good product, then start to recognize you within yourself, within your nation, the product that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Patricia, for a brief yet in detail explanations within the economical perspective, within the legal perspective, especially with the intellectual property rights. The recognitions is very important. It reminds me to one of this, it might not be a global example, but it happens. It happens that I found this business persons in the Netherlands. So these very persons always came to Indonesia, specifically in Solo and Yogyakarta, to get a batik as a fabric, and then brought it back to the Netherlands and just made a modern styles of jumpsuits or sweatpants, any kind of fashion which suits their preference, and then upscaling those fashion. But then again, do we permit him this particular company to use batik for their fashion trend, and also there's no such thing as a compensations given to us because this company bought all this fabric based on local price and then just upscale based on the European price. And this it really gets me when you're explaining with this cultural appropriations, also a few examples of the other cultural things that being taken without a formal permit.
Yes.
It's something, and thank you for that. And we still have time. And then definitely last but not least, because we have Professor Adolfo Paulini, the Dean School of Law, University of Buckingham. Again, thank you very much for staying here with us. And then if you could just give us, let's say, 10 minutes from the economical perspective, and then probably we can have like 1 or 2 discussions with our guest today, and that would be perfect. And then, without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Paulini on explaining or discussing the economic opportunities and risk management for the small and medium enterprises. Floor is yours.
Thanks. Thank you very much for inviting me. In the first place, I heard earlier that it would be a good idea to focus on SMSs and the digital era. And I've been thinking for the past 10, 20 minutes, how could I address this topic with you all here? But my previous 2 speakers gave me a clear idea. We are in the middle of digitization. We are in a world which cannot stop talking about matters like artificial intelligence, blockchain technologies, and so on. But what we need to understand with digitization and how this connects with SMSs is that AI, blockchain, and the like depends on something very tiny yet very important called data. This data. These days, whoever has access to data has the power. If you ask me why Amazon, Alibaba, Microsoft, Google, and so on are, or even Apple, are powerful, the answer is not because they sell books or they sell mobiles or they distribute products. The answer is because they have access to big data. They know how to monetize that data and make money out of it. So what is the connection between this idea and small and medium enterprises? Well, is precisely how to use data to monetize the content of that data to raise awareness and benefit from it. So let's use some examples. When we talk about the protection of indigenous crafts, for example, okay, how would we know that the fabric or the type of flowers from Mexico have been used by somebody else's? How do we know that the dress or the clothing used in the movie, the Panther, the Black Panther, was from Ghana? How do we use that? Is it Guatemala you mentioned? Guatemala, Bolivia, with the other example, with Nike?
Yes.
Nike is because the social media distributed the information, created data, and raised awareness. This is my advice number 1. If we want to protect small and medium enterprises, well, the first idea or the first objective is to tell these business entrepreneurs, these small businesses, how they could inform about the product they manufacture, how they could spread the news about the quality, distribution, use, etc., what they do. Then people would know where it comes from. The second aspect comes with some problems, or the caveat to my second view is slightly more complicated. When we talk about, for example, artificial intelligence, well, the fuel of artificial intelligence in any of the 3 subsegments that it works with, let's say machine learning, deep learning networks, reinforcement learning, and so on, well, the fuel is data. But data needs to be scrutinized, structured, in order to produce desirable or desirable outputs. It doesn't mean structuring data in a way that is completely organized to produce, but at least we filter the data. So if we use data in, for example, for clustering, then the data is just an structure. You put information and the machine will produce an output, or the algorithm will produce an output and tell us what your desires are. For example, have you questioned or you assess why when you visit a website, the website then 2 or 3 days later emails you with something similar, saying, based on your previous browsing, we believe you may like X and Y. It's because the browsing, the company is using in the background something called clustering and structured data or machine learning in a structured data to produce those outputs and tell them where you are placed. Data is still the fuel. On the other hand, if what we want is to classify or linear regression, then we use machine learning, of course, but we use structured data. We put in, or we train the algorithm with something that we know, and then the algorithm will produce an output. But everything goes around data as the fuel of artificial intelligence. And the same happened with pixels and deep neural networks for voice recognition, image recognition, and so on. But what is, again, the connection? Well, how could we, lawyers, present and future lawyers, how could we protect or help the small and medium enterprises? Well, the answer is straightforward. Raise awareness that these tools, AI, blockchain, etc., are inclusive enough. Blockchain, for example, could give access to bank accounts to people who never had a bank account. And just imagine if you are a small and medium entrepreneur without a bank account, what a difference that business could have if you are given a bank account or access to a digital wallet to receive payments, not necessarily in cash, but electronic means of payment. You could flourish as an entrepreneur. Why? Because now data used as a tool could use also blockchain technologies as a repository to collect the data, to collect the money and expand your business. So raising awareness in this digital area is of fundamental importance for small and medium enterprises. Knowing what data is, how to use social networks, how to collect data, how to protect the data, the repository, and so on, is of fundamental importance. I don't know if you know that the technology used to send the first rocket to the moon is not even 5% of the technology used to run the mobile phones that you have in your hands. So those mobile phones are 97% more complex in terms of tech than the first rocket sent to the moon. Think about how much we have evolved time. But data comes with some issues. How we collect, how we protect, how we distribute, how we use it. And this is when you, lawyers, have a role to play in here. If the idea is to protect SMSs. Collecting data, protecting data, and so on is closely connected with general rules of data protection. Is that data authorized, how we protect the data, how we distribute it, and how we monetize it. If you learn how to monetize, you make money. And that's how small or SMSs could actually grow their businesses, how to make money out of the data itself. Cyber law, cyber attacks are just around the corner, and cyber attacks just happen to happen on data. So that creates a very complex area of law for you to develop research, practice, and advice. Another thing that connects with the digitization and the new era in SMSs is that the consumer itself has changed. The way consumers perceive the market is totally different from 20 years in the past. Now we consumers want something expeditious, quick, good, and inexpensive. Quick. So we are not wasting time. We are not willing to wait. We are not willing to pay. Why? Because in a very supply market, the expectation is that we get inexpensive items of good quality. That way of perceiving the market has also changed the way companies operate and lawyers practice the law. Why companies? Because companies are also big data collectors. Companies are exposed to the way to data privacy. Corporate directors are exposed to the way they protect and use and monetize corporate data and so on. So the whole corporate structure is changing alongside this digitization and data collection. And lawyers, of course, and this is my final message. I don't want to keep you longer than needed. The lawyer of the 21st century. Who is the lawyer of the 21st century? Is a lawyer who not only understands the law as it is, but has basic knowledge of how data and technology operates. If you have not started thinking about learning at least the basics of artificial intelligence, at least the basics of blockchain technologies and how they operate on financial technology and so on, I believe it's time for you to start thinking about it, because we are moving so fast in that direction that without that knowledge, we will be out of the game in no time. I'm not suggesting that you learn coding or writing software and so on. And even if you do, well, even better. But at least having that basic knowledge is going to be considered as a fundamental skill for the years to come. In the same way that today, employers expect you to know about Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Well, now we are seeing companies expect you to know how this data is collected and his data is used, and for what purpose, and what the tools are to get outputs in no time and satisfy the views of the customer. In conclusion, how is the era of digitization affecting small and medium enterprises? Well, I believe small and medium enterprises have reached a junction, and the junction is take, adapt, or die. Even a small business enterprise needs to use technology to raise awareness, to market and publicize what they do. That level of communication gives protection, and that protection will lead to the development of a legal framework that needs to be created in case it does not exist, in order to protect and assist. Technology will assist with licensing. Technology will give an electronic means of obtaining permission to trade, expeditious way to pay fees, expeditious ways to pay licenses, uses, renew it, and so on, without having to travel long distances and join large queues in public offices in order to fill the paperwork and do so. Technology will help small medium enterprises to use the tools available to create and develop better products. Technology will help lawyers to understand how the market operates in order to give proper advice for the benefit of those small market players who in number are much, much larger than the big players, but of course in income are much, much smaller, almost insignificant. Do we need to find the balance of a fair market where competition is fair? If we use tech to promote our products in an efficient way, then we will be competing with the big guys, because the technology is one. It's only one. I not long ago I saw a video, a very silly one. Honestly, it was silly. And to my surprise, it had 1.5 million views. It was so silly and insignificant that people watch it. Well, what if that individual who meant to do nothing with that video realized that he can or she can monetize the 1.5 million followers? That then a small business is born. A small business created with bubbles, but generating serious money. And this is what we need to look at in the years to come. So thank you for your time. I really hope that I managed to convey some basic knowledge of my areas of law and expertise to complement the wonderful presentations of my colleagues. And once more, thank you very much for having me or having us at the University of Buckingham in your campus here in lovely Surakarta, or Solo, I should say.
Thank you, Professor Paulini, for the remarks on the big data and also the development of technology and how we can use it. But I suppose when it comes to like the early stage of the development of all these SMEs, they are still using, for example, like the Instagram's ads or Facebook ads, and then they will kind of help them to build the customer's profile for them. It kind of a good start for them before they could actually break through with all these the informations on a website cookies, and then provide like a bigger for customers informations to know exactly what they have to focus on to developing their business. But it is very
May I was in a traffic jam. I don't think it's difficult to be in a traffic jam in Surakarta. Okay, okay. I'm not criticizing. I'm very much used to traffic jams, but I was looking at these businesses alongside the road. All these lovely people selling crafts and fruits and so on. But all of them have one thing in common. They were looking at their mobile phone.
exactly.
So technology has already arrived. Now, if you teach them how to use that time they spend in the mobile phone to monetize what they're doing, they will no longer be small and medium enterprises. They will be quite medium, if not large ones. So it's raising awareness of what we can do.
Yeah, that's important foundations that we have to start first. The awareness and know the tools. Thank you, Prof. Paulini. And then, ladies and gentlemen, do you think we have time for questions?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I really appreciate. I guess, ladies and gentlemen, do we have questions here? Let's say we have two. Any students? Okay, bagus. Give me a second.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Agus Triatmoko. I'm an economist, but not specific in law of by science. I'm focused on economic, but they're also related with about the law especially regarding the economic constitution. Well, I will back about our discussion about the SMA. I think we have some point in Indonesian perspective. You know, is we have on Indonesia performance about the good corporate governance. This is the key. How to make it make it difficult our SMA to growing. That's if we classified Indonesia as the biggest country, we have four actor of corporation. Here, yes, we have a multinational company, and then private national atau national private, also state-owned enterprise and regional-owned enterprise. The problem is both the national company and state-owned enterprise and those regional-owned enterprise. This is our corporate governance is weak. That means how to our SME when doing about the business with them sometimes it's difficult because maybe it's already present by Prof. Patricia tadi, some corruption. I think Indonesia we see about the clear about the dealing of business, SME also with the corporation. Maybe we can check it's for this good governance is already doing well, just only on multinational company. This is the one point, and the second one is about the SME regarding the our policy, Indonesian policy, starting from President Jokowi and then will be to continue for President Prabowo election. That's our policy for stopping the export of raw material. That's been we call is the policy of hilirisasi, our downstream policy. That will be high impact for our growing the SME. But again, when the minutes of our government not control doing well, that will be also opportunity will be lost for SME. Again, the problem is corruption for bothing the dealing business. For example, the one policy, the new government will be give the free of lunch for student. If I check, see at the research, everyone for the grouping, political grouping, oh yeah, this project I will be the like make it the restaurant to produce this. That's sometimes make it difficult to SME. And the another is for Prof. Aldolfo. I think the cover concern, yes, for the digital is how to protect legal, we agree. Indonesia, so many case, example about the, this is like investment by digital, then gone. How to customer protect it? Nothing. Everyone might be, banyak sekali, too much the case about the investment by digital, including about the blockchains and I think Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin for us is I don't know how to doing that and how to protect the transaction in terms of legal. That's not clear for us in specific in Indonesia. That's why how to respond about the artificial intelligence, also about the economic digital, sometimes not effectively or productive because too many case not protected by legal perspective. That's maybe my comment or perspective on Indonesia, and we hope our sharing is today will be also in make it at value for us to know about the another country, especially upon UK, has done about the doing well about the how to make the state manage the SME. I think that thank you. Just too much talking for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
May I say something
Sure,
very
please.
quickly?
Yeah.
I understood. My colleagues would elaborate, but at the beginning, you mentioned the most fundamental aspect, in my opinion, of SMSs. With our proper corporate governance structure, there is no way they can prosper. So corporate governance, a sound corporate governance, is the fundamental aspect of these businesses to succeed. And I cannot agree more with you, because in my opinion, that is what it is.
Thank you, Professor Paulini. Dr. Argar or Prof. Patricia, additional remarks?
This one. Thank you. Early on, we were doing an external examination of a PhD proposal. And one of the thoughts that we did was how Indonesia should go into a cashless, talking about digitalizing, to create more transparency and to avoid corruption. And I went to the zoo on Sunday, and I wanted, once we were inside, I wanted to do a ride. And there were several attractions, like to buy a bag for the animals, to feed the animals. It was cashless, which I think is a good step to go through more transparency and less corruption. But what I noticed is that there was no means for me as a tourist to pay. So Indonesia, especially in Bali, the tourist attractions are humongous. So when you think about digitalization, you have to be very careful, because it's not about, oh, digitalization will be the magic one, but perhaps you're going to block even the market. I couldn't buy the food for the animals because I don't have an account in here. We needed to, I think, with a camera to scan the QR code, and I couldn't do it as a tourist. So I think that when we're talking about digitalization, small and medium enterprises, I don't see anyone in the informal marketing here on the streets having a QR code or anything like that. And therefore, again, the awareness of how we formalize, how we come together to have something stronger. I'm afraid I cannot give you tips on how to avoid corruption. But I think that digitalization, in a way, is a step forward. Yet we need to be very careful with digitalization, and also being aware of the society, because you said something very important, that we're talking about bitcoins, and I mean, even me, bitcoins, it just doesn't say anything to me. I don't know how to do it. So if we're thinking to go cashless, does society know how, or everybody, do they have a phone? Do they have a card reader? So again, you have to be, every society needs to be careful of all the steps to have all the infrastructure. If I want to use a QR, do the people that come will be able to scan and pay? So those are steps on progressing step by step. Yes.
Thank you for the additional remarks. Dr. Arga, additional? Thank you. I would like to ask, because we also have the online participants here. I was wondering, is there any questions for our online participants? If you have a questions, then you can raise your hand emoticons on your Zoom. Do we have questions, operator? Do we have questions from the online participants? No? We're good? I think we're good. Again, thank you very much for the remarkable sharing of knowledge in the Universitas Surakarta. We are really appreciate your welcoming today. And then, of course, Dr. Arga, thank you very much for representing Indonesia in small and medium enterprises on today's discussion, and of course, representing Universitas Surakarta. We are delightful to have the three of you excellent speakers on today's community development discussion. And I would like to ask all the audience to give them a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And then before we close today's event and return the time to Master of Ceremony, I would like to invite the Pak Agus as the second Vice Rector. He is our Vice Rector too, dealing with the human resources and financings, to give a token of appreciation to our speakers today. And then later on, I will also invite the First Rector, Pak Budi, our Academic Affairs, and of course the Dean Faculty of Law, Bapak Umar, to represent token appreciations. And first, I would like to invite Professor Adolfo Paulini and to receive the token of appreciations from Pak Agus, our Vice Rector. Give me a second. I would like to invite Professor to be in the center, so we will take a good pictures. Okay, thank you. And then a goodie bag. Oh, one more picture. You want me to take picture for you? Oh, perfect. Okay then. Thank you. And then next, we would like invite Dr. Budi Purnomo to give the token of appreciations to Professor Patricia. Thank you. And then next will be the goodie bag. That's interesting. That exciting. Of course, batik always. And then, thank you. You're welcome. You are welcome. And then Dr. Arga, again, thank you very much for today's participations. And then we would like to call the Dean Faculty of Law to present the token of appreciations. Dr. Arga is the Chief Senate of the university, by the way. Thank you. And then lastly, we have a token of appreciation again given to the Dean Faculty, the Dean School of Law, University of Buckingham. And then we'll like again invite Professor Adolfo Paulini. And then the one who will give the token of appreciation would be the Dean Faculty. Thank you. Now again, I would like to invite all speakers and then the university leaders and the faculty leaders to take a picture together. And then Professor Patricia, we can take picture for you because we need you to be in the center. Yes, sure. Okay. Head of department, please. Sure. Perfect. It's perfect. It's amazing. Everyone's okay already? Aku nebeng ah. Then I'll be just right. Okay. Oh, this is our symbolic gesture, like this. Okay. Jaya. It's like hail Unsa. Okay, thank you very much. And that's the end of today's discussion. I would like to turn the sessions to our Master of Ceremony, Mr. Julio. Time's yours.
Thank you, Mrs. Moderator. And now we come to our end of our seminar today. And for all the participants, either here or in the online, thank you for your participation. And see you in the next meeting. Julio off. Thank you.